Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Charlotte Hubbard Walker from Accounting for Real. Now today, before I start my accounting lesson, I wanted to make a little spaghetti dish. Uh, so today I'm using whole grain, whole grains Barilla, whole grain Barilla spaghetti, and I have ragu sauce. I have 2 jars of that. And then I'll be putting these some dark kidney beans, Goya. And so what I do, I start out, let my water boil. What I do, I let my water boil, put a little salt in there. The water's boiling, I just put a little Morton salt in there. And then what I do, I'm going to add a little spaghetti. So, what I do, I take my spaghetti and just break it in half like this. Put it in the pan. Put it in the pan and let it cook. See, put it in the pan, let it boil. So, just a little. Okay. Break it in half like this. And see, whole grain. I don't use a whole box. I just use probably like half the box. Half the box. And then put it back in the can. And also, sometimes I use the regular spaghetti too, but that was whole grain that I used. So then I have my sauce. Then I turn my stove on. My other eye turn on. And I take my spaghetti sauce. I take my spaghetti sauce. And what I want to do, put my spaghetti sauce in a pan. I put my spaghetti, sometimes I put a little water in mine. Sometimes I take put a little water in it. Put this in the tray. Just stir my spaghetti up a little bit. And I see that it's not quite done. And cook, so what I do, put my sauce in the pan, and then what I do add a little sugar to my sauce. a little bit. Add a little sugar. Sometimes I add a little sugar, just a little margarine. About just probably 1 tablespoon. 1 tablespoon of my sauce. So I take my sauce. And sometimes I might use 2 jars, but this is 1 jar. 1 jar. A little margarine in there, a little sugar. And then also, I have my kidney beans. What I do, I add these too. I add this to my sauce. My sauce. See my sauce. That's the sauce. Let that get hot. And then also, I do add my kidney beans. And I drain them first. Go on your kidney beans. I want to drain them first. See, drain them. Drain everything off, and then put them on in the sauce. Drain them and rinse off some of that, gooky stuff that comes in the pan. So rinse that off, drain them, pour them on down, put the beans on in the sauce. So stir. Oops. Okay. And I want to check my spaghetti, see if that. Oh, good. So, what I do sometimes, I let my spaghetti cook, my sauce cook, and then I want to see if I need another jar. But so far, as you can see that, I got my beans in here. The beans in there. So, that cooked. Okay. Okay, so while that's cooking, while my spaghetti is cooking, I'm going to let's talk about a few accounting while that's cooking. Let me come back in a minute. had class, so while the spaghetti is cooking, I want to look at a few items on my in my class today. Okay, let's start with okay. Okay, let's start with some terms. Some T accounts. First, I'm running this t-shirt business. Okay, first I say, like in my previous transactions, you start a business. You have your niche, your target market, your brand, your branding strategies, all your strategies, your marketing strategies, your sales funnel strategies. Just say I have a t-shirt business and I'm trying to invest in my business. I'm trying to pull in customers. So what I did, I invested 11 million. So I invested 11 million. 11 million in my business bank account. I want to debit my cash account, and I want to credit owner's equity. And then my next transaction, I withdrew 2 million out of the business bank account. So I withdrew. I have to have an account for withdrawals. So I created a withdrawals account, 2 million, and I want to debit my owner's equity account, 2 million, and then cash. I want a $2 million credit, $2 million credit to my cash account. So this first transaction will increase the assets of the business, but the second transaction will probably decrease. In other words, only withdrew 2 million. So okay, that's the first one. So let me check the sauce is cooking. I'll turn that down a little bit. So spaghetti. See how that spaghetti look? It's just about done. That's whole wheat pasta. So and this is the spaghetti with the kidney beans in it. See the kidney beans? Cooking. And then let's see that spaghetti. So to test my spaghetti, what I do, I put a little bit in a bowl and just cut it a little bit. Or just take one and almost done. Okay, my sauce, turn that all the way down. That's gonna be good. Okay, let's get back to my transaction. Okay, and in another transaction, I bought business supplies on account 500. I want to debit my office supplies 500, and since I bought them on account, I'm gonna credit accounts payable. So that's the transaction. That's a business transaction. So I'm gonna debit supplies 500 and credit accounts payable 500. And then we have another transaction, prepaid rent on account. I want to debit prepaid rent 2,000, credit accounts payable 2,000. So prepaid rent $2,000 on account. So that's the second transaction. So I paid expenses. Rent $1,200, utilities $900, wages $2,000, and paid the secretary her $3,000 salary. so it came up to 7,100. So we have expenses. These are the expenses that were paid. So we want to debit the expense account 7,100 and credit cash 7,100 because when I paid the expenses, it came out the cash account. And the question, I have a question for these. Does these transactions affect assets of the business? Okay, I borrowed $10,000 from B&B Bank, so of course that will affect the assets. So I will be increasing my assets. Does this affect the assets of the business? I borrowed $10 million from B&B Bank. Definitely that will increase the assets of my business because I'm gonna debit my cash $10 million, credit owner's equity, so that gives me more equity in my business. And then I loaned my mother $200 from my personal bank account. Loan my mother $200 from my personal bank account. That does not affect the assets of the business because that came from my personal bank account. So so those are just a couple of county. Oh, and then I have this is just an example of a divisional income statement. We have our sales, cost of goods sold, gross margin, less operating expenses, and that's where we come down to our net income. So we have our sales, we have our cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold is what we paid for our products to be made. So we had to minus cost of goods sold. That's how we got our gross margin. This is the income statement. You know, income statements are revenues minus expenses. So then we come around here down to our expenses. We add all our expenses up and subtract our sales revenue. So we have our sales revenue, and these are all the expenses. So when we subtract the expenses from our revenues, that's where we get our net income. So that's where we get our net income right here at the bottom, net income. So that is a divisional income statement. So let me see. I think the spaghetti is ready. Don't really take that long. So spaghetti looks like it's ready. So what I want to do, I'm going to drain it over here in the sink. Drain the water off. So when I drain the water off of the spaghetti, and then what I do, I just put it down in the pan like so. So when I put it down in the pan, see, just put it down in the pan, mix it up, make sure my sauce is over top. Make sure my sauce is over top. And so you can see my kidney beans. So this is what it looks like. Spaghetti. Nice. So finishing my Okay, so this is the finished product of the spaghetti. So I'm gonna let this cool a little bit. I'm gonna let this cool while I finish uh, the rest of my presentation. So this is a copy. This is just an example of a balance sheet that I did. So in other words, we have our cash, accounts receivable, inventory, plant and equipment. I have investment, land, total assets. So my total assets on this side right here is the beginning. This is the beginning. This is the ending. And then we have our liabilities and stockholders' equity. Add those together. So you can see down here we have 2,100,000, 2,100,000. So the assets match up. So these are the assets. And then we have our liabilities down here. Liabilities and your stockholders' equity. So everything matches up. So this is a balance sheet. Assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. So in other words, you have our accounts receivable, inventory, plant and equipment, investments. We have land and the total assets, 2,100,000. Then we have our liabilities plus our stockholders' equity, and that equals 2,100,000. So that matches. See, 2,100,000, 2,100,000, and this is a balance sheet. So I think that was it for that. So I do have. Let's go over some law terms. So let's go over some law terms. So we have writ of certiorari, which is an order from the Supreme Court to a lower court to deliver its records to the U.S. Supreme Court for review. So in other words, they have a case that they are working on, and they're probably trying to, in other words, it wasn't settled the way they thought it would be settled, and they couldn't get their way in the case, regarding the case. So what they did, they wanted to petition the Supreme Court for this writ of certiorari, so they can, that's what it says, it's from the Supreme Court to a lower court to deliver its records. So in other words, they want the Supreme Court to send the records over to the lower court, so that way they can probably try to solve their case. So in other words, they couldn't solve it on the case. They couldn't solve the case on their own, so they had to go petition the Supreme Court, and so they needed the help of the Supreme Court. So that's what they call a writ of certiorari. So it said from the Supreme Court to a lower court to deliver its records to the U.S. Supreme Court for review. And another definition, another term is deposition. Deposition includes oral statements made out of court under oath by witnesses or parties to the action in response to a question from the opposing attorneys. In other words, they have a case, the attorneys have a case that they're working on, and they need a deposition from witnesses. And I guess instead of the witnesses coming to court right away, I guess they, attorneys create a deposition from the witnesses. In other words, like a witness statement. And then we have tort law. And we have tort. Tort is a private wrong that injures another person's physical well-being, property, or reputation. So tort, in other words, that's a wrong. In other words, harm that somebody does to a human, a person. Say a private wrong. So it says a private wrong that injures another person. So, and if you injure somebody, I guess if you hit somebody in the face or something like that, assault and battery, that would be part of tort law. Assault and battery, you assault somebody, hit somebody in the face, or punch somebody in the arm. In other words, if you had evil intent. So most crimes are built on intent. And in other words, if you hit somebody but you were just playing, that would not be a crime. So you hit somebody and you just playing, and you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I accidentally hit you," or blah blah blah. But if you hit somebody with the intent to harm, then that becomes a crime. So that's what they call. That would be part of tort law. So then the next one I have. Oh, okay. I had some on the back. Okay. Then I have another term I learned about called strict liability. Under certain circumstances, the courts may judge a person liable for harm even though that person was not negligent and did not commit an intentional tort. Under strict liability, the court will hold tortfeasor liable for injuries to a victim even though no intent or no negligence. Under certain circumstances, the court may judge a person liable for harm, even though, okay, in other words, they usually equate strict liability to product liability. So they usually equate strict liability to that's the next term I had, to product liability. In other words, you purchase a product from a company and you open a bottle. In other words, you purchase something and you take it out of the box and you open it up and it blows up in your face and it has to injure you. It has to injure you, I guess, before you can claim strict liability under the strict liability laws. So in other words, you bought a Christmas tree or whatever you bought and you opened it up. And when you open the box, it exploded and it burnt your arm or, or whatever. You were injured. So you would have a claim for strict liability from the company. So strict liability. They are strictly liable even though they didn't intend for you to get hurt. They didn't intend for you to get injured, but when you open that box, you were injured. And product liability, a legal theory that imposes liability on the manufacturer and seller of a product produced and sold in a defective condition. Right. You buy a product and it's defective and you open up the box and it cut your arm or it hit you in the head and knocked you out or you were injured. So that comes under product liability. So, and then I have, let's talk about okay, so we have, let's talk about the common law. Okay, I have a term here called common law. Okay, common law. That's where, okay, back in the day, judges went down in the towns and the villages, and they were there to solve cases. So once they solved those cases then became laws that were on the books, and probably on the books today. Because it says, because that's what I learned at Strayer University, when I went to Strayer University right here in Washington, D.C. So we talked about how the common law came about. It says judges were sent to the towns and the villages and would hold in common of the king's town with instructions to settle all disputes. So judges went into towns and the villages to solve disputes. And disputes in as consistent a manner as possible. The judge maintained the consistency by relying on previous legal decisions whenever they faced a similar set of circumstances. So in other words, when they solved those cases, when they wrote them down, they became law. And then when they went back down in the towns to solve another case, those previous cases were relevant for the new cases that they were trying to solve were relevant to the previous cases. So, in other words, stare decisis, another term that I learned back in Strayer University, let the decision stand. So once they made a decision on those cases, then let the decision stand. That decision well, that decision became law. Stare decisis. That decision became law. So when they went to try to solve, they went back into towns to solve another case. They went into towns and the villages to solve other cases. Then they looked at those previous cases, which they call today precedent, not president, precedent. So precedent. So they use in other words, precedent means an important case. That important case became law. That's on the book. So when judges go look at other cases, they look at that same relevant particular case. It's relevant, particular. It relates to the cases, the new cases that they are trying, they may be trying to solve. Okay, it says judges maintain this consistency by relying on previous legal decisions whenever they face a similar set of circumstances. That's what I said in one of my previous videos. As the process continued, judges began to establish this body of common law. Judges began to write down their decisions and to share them with other judges, stare decisis. What they say, reliving on previous decisions judges made, right? On previous decisions judges made. Then I have another little term. Let's look at. So that's what we have. That's the common law. So then I have another term I call, and I have right here, I think this is a term that said courts make law by following the common law. Yeah. So in other words, today, courts make law following the common law, precedent through interpretations, statutes, and judicial review. So in other words, judicial review, statutes are laws, judicial review. Judicial means court system. The court system, they're reviewing cases, interpretations of statutes, and judicial review, precedent. And then I have constitutional law, body of law that involves the Constitution and its interpretation. U.S. Constitution establishes the government of a nation and outlines the rights that are reserved for the people. So in other words, in the Constitution today, we have they have rights in there to set aside for the people. And also they have things to, I guess, for the president and the vice president and all of them to follow. But they are, I think the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights, but this is the Constitution. So the Constitution, the body of law that involves the Constitution and its interpretation, U.S. Constitution established. Okay, in other words, they have a Constitution that it's a body of law that involves the Constitution and its interpretation. So it reserves the rights for the people. So in other words, I think each state also has their own Constitution. So we have the Constitution, and then states have their own. So then I have, let me see. I have okay, I want to look at contract. What is a contract? A contract is a legal agreement based on mutual promises between two or more competent parties to do or to refrain from doing some particular thing that is neither illegal nor impossible. So that's what I have for contract. A contract. In other words, we have elements of a contract. I have offer, acceptance, mutual assent, capacity, legality. In other words, offer, a proposal made by someone. Then if somebody proposes to you, hey, wash my car or paint my house, you have to agree on it. Mutual assent. Capacity, you have to be legal age, the legal ability to enter into a contract. You can't be I guess you have to be 21 and up. So, and then you have legality. Parties cannot be allowed to enforce a contract that involves doing something that's illegal. Some illegal contracts, a crime, or to perform a tort. So in other words, you can't say, hey, go bust that man in the face for me. That would be an illegal tort. And you can't enter into a, go hit that man in the face, I'll give you $1,000. And that is a crime within itself, so you can't do nothing like that. So we have offer, acceptance, mutual assent, and capacity. So offer, acceptance, mutual assent, capacity, and we have legality. So in other words, somebody say, hey, in other words, I say for instance, I have my business is Cheryl's T-shirt and jeans business LLC. Somebody come in there and I enter into a contract with somebody, but in other words, they offer to say, hey, I'll mop your floors and paint your inside of your business for give me $10,000. I do the whole business, the floors, the paint, and all that. They offer that, for me for my business, and I say, well, sure. So we'll go into acceptance, and then we both have to mutually agree. Meeting of the minds, that's what they call it usually. A meeting, we both have to have a meeting of the minds for mutual assent. We both have to have the capacity. We both have to have, it has to be legal. It can't be nothing unethical or not legal. So in other words, I contract with him to paint, and then we have to have legality. So contract has to have all these elements to be a legally enforceable contract. So let's go with malice. I have a term called here on here that I looked up too called actual malice. I have actual malice and legal duty and jurisdiction. Okay, so actual malice, sorry about that, means that the statement was made or printed either with the knowledge that it was false or with a reckless disregard for its truth or falsity. Actual malice. So in other words, actual malice. In other words, somebody says something about you that they know is not true, but they say they made or they printed it. It's a statement, or they printed it, or they made a statement with the knowledge that it was false or with a reckless disregard for the truth. In other words, when they mentioned it, they had a reckless disregard for the truth, and they knew it wasn't true, but they mentioned it anyway about you. They mentioned it about you. So I don't know if they didn't say something about your company, or I think it had to be about a person. It didn't say whether it had to be a person or a company, but it said statement was made or printed either with the knowledge that it was false. In other words, it was a reckless disregard for the truth. They mentioned something about you, the statement, it wasn't true, and so. And then I have a usury to protect borrowers from excessive interest charges. So in other words, you buy a house or a car, and usury, U-S-U-A-R-Y, I can barely say the term, usury. So in other words, it protects us consumers being charged high interest. So that is usury. And then I have jurisdiction. The authority of a court to hear and decide cases is jurisdiction. In appellate jurisdiction, a court that has the power to review a case for errors of law. So in other words, appellate jurisdiction is like the appeals court. So in other words, if there was an error in law, then appellate court, if there was an error in the law, in a case, and so the appellate court can review that case. So appellate, we have the appellate. appellate jurisdiction. Appellate jurisdiction. So that probably would be directed to the Court of Appeals. So I usually think of it as a Court of Appeals. I think I have, I think it's only a couple more. I have negligence. People and property are sometimes injured. Let me put my glasses on for this one. People and property are sometimes injured, and when no one intends that the injury occur. So in other words, they were negligent. People and property are sometimes injured, even when no one intends that the injury occur. No one acted with intent. Someone was injured. The victim has experienced pain and suffering, lost wages, incurred medical and repair bills. So that will be negligence. In other words, you ain't intent for nobody to get hurt, but they got hurt. You was negligent. You didn't show enough. I would say you didn't show enough due care. You know, sometimes you could foresee that somebody's gonna get hurt, but don't say nothing, and then they end up getting hurt. Let's say elements of negligence. You have to the elements: legal duty, breach of duty, failed to meet standard of care, proximate cause, and actual injury. So that was that one. And then the last one I have is defenses to criminal liability. So in other words, defenses to criminal liability. Defenses to criminal liability. In other words, insanity. You can have an insanity defense. American law recognizes that individuals cannot be held responsible for their actions if they don't know what they are doing. They have something called the McNaughton rule. A defendant can be found not guilty reason. It's a NGRIF. At the time the criminal act was committed, the person was suffering from a mental disease that was so serious that he or she did not know the nature of the act or that the act was wrong. And it said another test called the another test of insanity is the irresistible impulse test, which holds that criminal defendants can be found not guilty by reason of insanity at the time of the offense. They were stricken with a mental disease that prevented them from knowing right from wrong or compelled them to commit the crime. So these are defenses to criminal liability. So just some stuff that I looked up in my law book earlier today. And so what I want to do, this is the spaghetti that I just made. Let me see how it tastes. Good. Very delicious. It's good. So, very delicious spaghetti. Okay. Yeah. Also, class, I had to go get me something to drink. So, so that's the lesson for today. Writ of certiorari. So that's the lesson for today. I want to thanks for joining me in class today, and Cheers. And I want to have I want to do some more right now. This is whole wheat pasta, healthy for me. Whole wheat pasta. Cheers, class. Thanks for joining me. And this is kitchen. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me today. County for real. Man, this whole wheat pasta, whole wheat pasta, kidney beans, good. So I want to say thanks for joining me in class today. And I hope to see you on my next video. See them kidney beans and spaghetti whole wheat pasta and ragu sauce. I didn't need this after all. I didn't need it, but I always, all the time I buy 2 jars. And thanks for joining me today, class. I'm just trying to finish this spaghetti. Finish it on up. And I want to say cheers. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for joining me with my County for real. I hope to see you back here again. Same place, same time. I want to be offering more recipes on my channel. I want to be offering more recipes on my channel. I like healthy recipes, so I definitely want to offer some. I want to present some healthy recipes on my channel, because more than likely I'll do a recipe segment, and then I'll get into my accounting lesson, and then I'll have you some definitions. Cheers, and thanks for being here today. Hope you're learning something from these debits and credits, and hope to see you back here again, same place, same time, same channel, Accounting for Real, where we offer. I'll be presenting accounting terminology, accounting concepts, business, recipes on my channel. Cooking segments, rather. I would call it a cooking segment. Thanks for being here, and come back again. See me again on my Accounting for Real. If you can, comment below. Subscribe to my channel. Give me some ideas. What type of recipes would you like to see? Healthy recipes. Spinach, greens, healthy recipes, broccoli, recipes that I could add broccoli and spinach and different things like that too. So healthy recipes. And I started these kidney beans the kidney beans are good for you. My husband, he started making his homemade spaghetti with kidney beans, so I'm following in his footsteps. Cheers. And this is just some apple juice. I don't drink wine. I always try to have a healthy drink at the same time. So class, I want to say thanks for joining me today. Counting for Real, my homemade spaghetti recipe, whole wheat pasta, kidney beans, ragu sauce, and I just a little bit of margarine and a little bit of sugar, and make my sauce sweet. So thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you back here again. Same place, same channel, Accounting for Real. All right, this is Cheryl Arlette Hubbard Walker, and signing off. And I want to say you all enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your weekend. You all have a good one.